What's up, buddies? Joe, caffeine fuel. What up? Kind of want to show you something that's fairly simple, effective, whatever, it works. I started doing this more when I was doing like pause tech news, right? Usually if I bring up like I don't know, some kind of like a bullet point or some kind of information on screen, and there's something in particular that I want to, focus more attention on, then I'll create almost like a highlight around like the words or information. That way, like the viewer's eyes can be directed towards that direction, right? Obviously, me being me, I try to figure out a way to get it done fast and easy, right? So I'm going to show you how to do that in both Premiere Pro and in Davinci, right? Because they're both completely different on how to do this, right? Premiere Pro being more layer based, and then Davinci Resolve being more node based. The results are the same, but the process is totally fucking different, right? So anyways, I'm gonna start with Premiere Pro here. Say if I'm talking and I'm almost trying to explain to you like the world's best pastrami sandwich, right? And I'm gonna drop an image here. I want to show you, an image of this, a pastrami sandwich, right? Now, let's say like for whatever reason, I just want to like highlight the word pastrami sandwich here, right? So something I would do is I'll go over here, it's a new item, I'll go to black video, I'll get this window, I hit OK, a black video appears, I'll just drop the black video over here, and as you can see, you don't see anything, right? So now like if I select my black video and I go over here to the effects control, I'm just gonna drop down the opacity until I barely see a little bit of like, to start seeing like some of the image, right? This is where Premiere Pro is easier than Davinci in the sense like I can actually click on say like the pen tool and go over here and I can click a mask over say like the word hot pastrami sandwich and it creates like a mask, right? I can click over here and it says inverted, and now I can add a little feather, if I want. I can go back in here and I can click and drag this guy out and stuff, and I can make my adjustments, right? To make things even easier, I can actually say like zoom into like the beginning and the ends of my my clip here. I can add a command to add a crossfade. It's a cross dissolve, right? So it's like an easier way for me to like add like a little fade in and fade out by adding a cross dissolve to like the edit points here. So if I hit play, and I could do the same over here, right? I could just like extend this edit point. It says hot pastrami, it fades out, right? And the cool thing about this, I can stretch this out. I can extend this a bit more if I want. Be like, yeah, I want to focus on the word hot pastrami here for whatever reason. Then I stretch this out, gets to the end, it fades out, and boom. This is something that I do. You can do the same thing with an adjustment layer, and if you want to do like a blur, right? If you want to blur everything out, same difference, right? But in this case, I just want to show you this method. All right, so we're here in Davinci Resolve. We're gonna do like the same shit. All right, so I got my pastrami image here. I'm just gonna stretch this out, where I want it to be. And again, we want to basically kind of like bring more focus towards the word hot pastrami here. So we want to make everything a little darker, right? Coming from Premiere Pro, obviously my thought process was to like add like a solid, on top of this, and then like, there you go, right? But it doesn't work that way, because so if we go to effects, if you go to generators, there is a solid color, right? You can drop this in here, you can select it, and as you can see, it's black, right? And there's no way to create a mask in here. The moment of me making this video, I don't know of any way to like actually add a mask. There's no pen tool that you can do, right? So delete that. So what you gotta do is actually you select the clip, right? Which is like the pastrami sandwich here. And then we're gonna go over to Fusion. And this is in Fusion here, you're gonna start adding some nodes, right? So if you're scared of nodes, then it's time to stop being scared and enjoy the wonders of nodes, right? It's actually not that bad. So we're gonna go over here and we're gonna add a background, right? So we click on number 1, it's just a solid black, right? So now what we're gonna do is you can actually click over here to hold shift until it turns blue, and it's gonna create a merge node, right? So now the media in, which is our pastrami sandwich, it's gonna merge with the background, right? So what we gotta do now is basically on our tools over here where it says polygon, yeah, you want to click that node and drag it over here. Now, you're going to click on a little box here, and we're going to connect the merge here. And now, like, our background disappears, but now if you select polygon and we go over to our pastrami sandwich, as you can see, our cursor turns into a plus sign. Now, you can click, you create one point, click again, click again, click again, and then click again, right? Now, as you can see, I created like a mask combining the background and our pastrami sandwich here, right? Now obviously we don't want this. We can actually select a polygon. You can go over here to the inspector where it says tools and where it says invert, click that, Now I invert it. So now the cool thing about this is that if we go to like the merge node, if we go to settings, you can actually drop the blend tool. So we can like drop this down to like whatever we want, right? So in this case, we want to add a little bit of like a blur around the edges because it's too sharp. So we can select the polygon and then we go to soft edges. You can click on that. You know, now we want to maybe make it darker. We're going to select merge again. You can increase the blend and that looks okay, right? So far so good. You know, if we go back to our edit, there you go, right? Now the thing is that if you want to animate the mask, right? If you want to have a fade in, you have to do this shit also in Fusion, right? So if we go back to Fusion, right? Over here where it says keyframes, click on that. You're gonna get this little window pop up. It's gonna be a little not easy to navigate around at first. You know, in Premiere Pro it's a lot easier to navigate keyframes. I'll give Premiere that point, that's for fucking sure. But it's not that bad. So in this case, we're gonna go back to the merge where it says settings. There's a keyframe here. You can actually go back to edit, and let's say you want to move up, right? Let's say I want to go over here. I want to fade into 100% to this area. From the beginning here, move your cursor to where you want it. Now go to Fusion. And as you can see, the cursor is going to move up to that same position where we were at the edit here, right? I like how you're able to jump around, you know, pages in that sense. Let's add a keyframe here. Now we can move back our playhead to the beginning here, right? And we go back to the edit, same thing. You see how it does that? And move back to the beginning. So make sure this is selected, the pastrami image. Go back to Fusion. Now we're gonna drop down the blend from the merge settings here down to 0. So we go back to our edit. There's the animation. Pretty cool, right? And then like the same thing, right? Say if like around here you want to start fading out the pastrami image. Go back to Fusion. Our playhead is already at the spot that we want. You hit another keyframe over here. Then we move towards the end. Then just drop this down to 0, and it should automatically create another keyframe, right? Go back to our edit, and there you go. So play this all together. You get your fade. Let you know, hey, hot pastrami sandwich, how badass. Then it goes back to normal. Now something to keep in mind, right? Let's say if you want to make this clip shorter, right? Say like, I don't know, down to here. You actually click and drag this. The only thing is it doesn't transfer over the keyframe animation that we did towards the end, right? So we play the end here. See, it just cuts off, right? There's no fade out that we created. So what we can do is actually, let's just go back one frame, make sure we have our pastrami sandwich in our video player here. I'm gonna go to Fusion. Now, you're kind of zoomed out here, right? To zoom in here quickly, click on this little button over here that says zoom to fit. Turn off my camera here, like zoom to fit. Now you can see over here, these are like the keyframes from the blend, right? Don't click on this and drag it over because it's gonna move all of your keyframes. Make sure it's deselected. You can click and drag to highlight these two keyframes, and now you can like click and drag back. So it moves these two keyframes, right? So now we go back to our image here and we hit play. There's a fade, see that? Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much how you do that inside of Davinci, right? It's a little extra steps, but it's actually not that bad once you get the hang of it, right? The benefit of doing it this way in Davinci on top of Premiere Pro is simply, as you can see here, now we got one section. There's one image that we have to mess with. If you want to make adjustments, you just go to Fusion and then you mess around with your nodes, right? In Premiere Pro, we got two layers now, right? We got the image here, the pastrami, and then like the black video, right? So then, you know, depending on what you want to do, it's going to start to overlap each other and it can be kind of messy, right? So in that sense, it's kind of cool to do this in Davinci because it'll be a lot cleaner, right? Also, another thing that I noticed, I was kind of messing around with this thing, is that the benefit of messing around with nodes, if you want to be more fancy, right, we can actually add a noise node, see like a fast noise, and then like we send this information out to the merge. Now the cool thing about that is we select here, we could go to detail, say let's add some contrast, yeah, increase it, and then like you can see some noise now, right? Now by itself it doesn't do anything because there's no animation, right? So let's go to the beginning of our clip here. If you go to seeth, the seeth here is basically what controls like the evolution of like the animation, right? So we want to animate this guy. So now if we go to the beginning of this clip, let's add a keyframe, then we go to like the end of it, then you're just gonna add some animation. So now when we play this back, you can see some like fancy work here. Now just to warn you, this is gonna like eat up your fucking GPU, right? This is just a fast noise, and like it's using up almost all my 11 gigabytes of VRAM. So yeah, keep that in mind. But I'm trying to make an example here. So if I play this back. So yeah, that's the cool thing about starting to mess around with nodes. It's like it's a lot easier to start to like combine visuals and stuff like that when you want to like mess around and get more fancy with your work, right? So doing this fancy stuff using nodes is a lot better actually, right? So the more I mess with Davinci Resolve and start to get more familiar with nodes, it's more beneficial, that's for sure. But yeah, if you want to do something quick and easy, it's definitely a lot easier doing it in Premiere Pro, right? So yeah, I'm not gonna deny that. So anyways, that's all I got for you. I hope the video helps. If you find it helpful, there'll be here are the QR codes if you want to buy me a coffee. Really would appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me for a bit. Take care and peace.